Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and last time we had what was I would argue, pretty convincing win against some monsters over here in the latter half of Ongren, and now that we've picked up those Skellige dudes, I must say, it does feel as though our deck is strong enough that at this point we're getting a few relatively easy wins now, and maybe our deck is actually, dare I say, strong, despite the fact that we've not actually crafted any cards ourselves, ever. But you know what? I feel like we deserve it at this point. We've been waiting for a break like this, so perhaps our patience will finally pay off. As for what we've planned for right now, I think we do have this other battle here, and perhaps, we will be really putting that statement to the test, and this will be the game's opportunity to well, see if that is truly the case, if our deck is actually capable of storming through the latter half of Ongren here. But we might also see what's up over here. I suspect there may be some kind of reward in that corner, or maybe some encounter that is just not currently showing up on our map. Maybe it makes some sense for us to go there first in case there's something good that we might get before going into the next fight. I mean, then again, this is, of course, an extremely cursed area, so maybe we shouldn't really be assuming that good things are going to happen to us. In fact, we should probably be assuming that bad things are going to happen to us over time. However, after winning the previous battle, we did get back from low to neutral morale, so, maybe if ever there were a time to do some things that might also lower our morale, we do it before the next battle, and then it'll just be another opportunity to give ourselves a free morale reset. Okay, so what is this? Let's see. Your Majesty, these cocoons, I already don't like where this is headed. There are people inside. Judging by the colors, Nilfgaardians, I'd say. Most have been reduced to skin and hair. The bodies sucked dry of their innards. It just keeps on getting more disgusting. However, a few yet live. What should we do with the survivors? Leave them? The monstrosity responsible has done us a great favor, destroying some of the Nilfgaardians. So that's basically just leave. Free them and add them to our force. Cleaning duty must fall to someone. Lose wood. I'm not entirely sure what the logic behind that is. Not a huge amount, but it's somewhat significant. Gain 1 recruit and lower morale. That feels like a terrible deal, especially seeing as how recruits are the one type of resource that we may just never find ourselves spending. Disentangle their equipment, but leave the invaders to die. Gain wood. Gain a little bit of gold. Also lower morale. This is kind of what I meant. Chances are pretty good we're going to find ourselves lowering morale here, and so you can, on one hand, say it's going to make the next battle more difficult. On the other hand, you could say it's a free opportunity to get ourselves back to neutral morale after doing this. So I am definitely leaning toward this because, as I said, I mean, the recruit just doesn't really do us any good if we're never going to craft anything. So I think we take this and we just accept the fact that maybe our deck is strong enough. We may be able to not be too concerned about going into encounters with low morale. Can we even go further this way? No? Wait, what? You're telling me we can't go up here? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. We can't sneak through there? Wow. Okay. I really assumed we were going to be able to do that. Alright, well in that case, it's over to this fight, which I assume is the next one that we had listed over here. Okay, well, yeah, we're gonna just about immediately throw ourselves into that fight and hope that our deck is strong enough to take on whatever it is this enemy is on low morale, especially because, at least from this angle, I mean, this map is a little bit deceptive. From this angle, it doesn't look like there's a way around avoiding this fight. Maybe if we were to backtrack, we can rejoin this path a little bit later on, but this enemy might be unavoidable. So I really hope we can take it on successfully. Yeah, I don't know if we can build this bridge. I think we legitimately have no choice but to fight this enemy. So if it is strong, that could certainly be an issue. But let's see. Impenetrable fog. That's the name of a What is that, a card in multiplayer Gwent? The fog grew thicker with every passing minute, to the point Meve couldn't see the tip of her own sword. This is no ordinary fog, she thought, straining her eyes. The screams of slaughtered men at the fore of the column quickly confirmed her fears. Okay. I mean, you'd think if it were some kind of unnatural fog, that it would be a sorcerer or sorceress of some variety, not just a monster, but it is a standard battle, and that looks like a necrophage of some variety. So let's see what we're getting ourselves into here. Okay. So, before we start talking about what we want to use with our cards, let's see what the deal is. No card starting on the board. Order consume the top unit in your graveyard and spawn a base copy of it, cooldown 3. I feel like we've definitely faced an enemy a long time ago that consumed the top unit from their graveyard or the most powerful unit from their graveyard on a cooldown. Don't know about the spawn a base copy of it, but that might have also been a part of it. So this may be very similar to what we had before, at least from an enemy ability standpoint. Now, from the standpoint of what we want to do here, I mean, that also suggests if they have a bunch of consumption, they're going to have a lot of, or maybe not a lot of, but at least one really powerful card that is doing all the consuming, which means that could synergize very well with Tainted Ale and the Infiltrators. Would be potentially very difficult to get Cadaverin to work because those cards can be very highly boosted, so to get them damaged to guarantee the destruction from Cadaverin, that might be something that we cannot necessarily rely all that much on. As for what we want to do here then, do we dump Cadaverin? Honestly, I'm strongly considering it because having two Alchemists, which do potentially synergize with an Infiltrator and with Tainted Ale, that is a package there that is of use to us. Barnabas is kind of his own self-standing thing. He's hard to rely on for any one thing in particular. But usually, I think as we established in our previous match, getting lots of Skellige guys on the board in round 1 is definitely something we should place a high priority on. So I think we dump Barnabas. Dogger is, of course, the best of all those Skellige guys, but he becomes stronger the more of these more standard Skellige dudes we have. So that does still feel like we need more. Okay. This makes me feel a little bit better, and we can also use our leader ability to get some more guys out. And at that point, I mean, we still have Patricide here, along with 1 and 2 standard Skellige guys, which depending on how long round 1 goes, we may be able to get both of them out, but probably going to have to draw the line at just getting, or may very well have to draw the line at just getting 2 of them. I think we can live with that, though. Okay, so this I think is acceptable, and I think we do probably want to prioritize Skellige guys in round 1 because the earlier and more often we play them, the more effective they become. What the heck? Oh. Okay, I mean, if he's actually supposed to be 5 base power, then sure. I mean, we were supposed to be on low morale, right? Yeah. Okay, but that's just odd that they showed up with their numbers are not red on the board unless we actually click on them, which totally made me think that the game just 100% cheated and stole a unit that it was not supposed to be able to steal. So I was a little alarmed by that, but okay, I mean, we are also probably about to get value from this, which is unfortunate, but probably would have preferred that you steal one of these guys. Alas. So, Skellige guys early and often, and do their leader abilities trigger this loyal ability? When your leader abilities, I think that still counts for them. So, this guy actually does potentially have some value. Okay. He's obviously relatively small and potentially destructible. So let's go. It's not going to be quite enough. If we're focusing on you, you're going to get bumped up to an 8 when we play you, which means we are targeting you. It hits for 6. which is going to drop you down to, since you have the 1 armor, you'll be more like a 9. So you get hit for 6, you have 3, so you hit back. That drops it down to 3. So if we get a second one out, which we should be able to do with our leader ability, then we should be able to destroy you. Possibly, I think just before they can use that order ability, so I think that's the plan then. It's going to be you first. We're just going to rely on them to destroy these guys through other means rather than us sacrificing them. These are usually the easiest ones to get rid of. And by get rid of, I mean get killed, because it activates their death wish. Okay, so dump you, get out Patricide, and get out you. Now, see, he's a damaged bronze enemy. If they are to steal the Skellige guys, then that's definitely not ideal. Because not only is that a short-term loss, but it significantly reduces the long-term value of Dogger. So I really don't want them to do that. But I've probably invited them to do that. Okay, this makes a lot more sense. Apply Impenetrable Fog to all enemy rows, then spawn a wolf. Because this encounter was called Impenetrable Fog, and we were saying how it seemed kind of odd that this did not seem like the kind of creature that would create fog in the first place. What is your deal? Damage a random enemy by 2 whenever a wolf ally appears. Repeat this. Oh, yeah, all the wolves do something kind of like this. Okay, so fortunately you have 4 cards on the board, which means we could just destroy you with Patricide. So I think we probably will do that. But now let's get more Skellige dudes going. And this is gonna damage the highest unit. Which is kind of unfortunate, because that means it's good at weakening, but not good at destroying cards, which means it's not really going to facilitate getting the Skellige Death Wish abilities going. Okay, remove you, otherwise that was going to become a pain in the butt. Then I think we can make this work. Oh, a lot easier than I thought we were going to be able to make this work. Okay, let's wait on your ability, I guess, until... Wait, does it... In hand, deck, and on battlefield? Okay, so yeah, we could still do this now, and it still affects everyone else. So that's fine. And... do you have any reason to prefer one over the other? I mean, either one's going to kill you immediately. They are going to end up consuming some of those things, right? Okay, well, there's another one of the wolves. Okay, do you... What? Okay, now that also made 0 sense. That's a deploy ability, which you activated on deploy. We destroyed the wolf, and then you just randomly spawned a wolf again, which you should not have been allowed to do. Return turn end, boost self by 2 if Impenetrable Fog is on the battlefield. When this unit's power surpasses 8, spawn a foglet, and that's what happened here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. We can almost destroy you. We can definitely destroy you once we add in this. So let's get you down as well. Thank you, EA app, for telling me that you need to restart. Not now. So we do need to kind of prioritize. I am now suspicious that this Woodland Spirit is going to respawn a wolf every turn, even though it's not supposed to be able to do that. So I think we prioritize you. I mean, I guess we can still hit you with that as well, which is not quite enough to destroy you, but it's close. Okay, you're gonna keep on doing this stuff. Yeah, see, like, now it doesn't spawn a random additional wolf. So there's nothing in the ability that should allow you to spawn a wolf whenever one gets destroyed, but that ended up happening nonetheless. So, you know, it's an odd one. Don't really know what to make of that. But, okay, now the tricky thing is that at this point we're starting to look at stuff that we don't really want to be playing in this round anymore, because we're looking at Dogger, which we must put back into our deck if we're going to play him, and our leader ability is not back yet, so we can't guarantee that we can do that unless this round goes much further, which we may not want it to do. Otherwise, we'd have to start doing Tainted Ale and Strays Infiltrators and Alchemists and all that stuff, which is an option, but it does take long. Because this takes 3 turns, you take a couple turns, and then we'd like to still get the chance to use the Alchemist with that as well. Although I think we saw that on some occasions, these Skellige guys by round 3 can actually get big enough that it's possible those may be our preferred setup for Alchemists rather than the Infiltrators. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I guess we're doing that. So we can still play a few more turns here, even if they do pass relatively early, because we could always go down to 4 cards to pass them if necessary. Which I think, if we are to do that, we can still do get enough points to catch them at that point. Yeah, so Impenetrable Fog is on the battlefield, so you're going to continue to get bigger. So you're a decent target for this. Let's go after you. Then we end this turn. They may pass. Kind of like for them to play at least one more turn. But, so I am kind of curious to test this theory. If we were to hit this wolf and destroy it, and then hit something else for the sake of hitting something else, would that be sufficient? Or would that actually destroy you permanently, or is this Woodland Spirit going to continue to randomly spawn a new copy of that wolf, even though it's not supposed to? Okay, they do pass now. No new wolf. Alright, so they've played 4 cards. We need to catch them in 2, which I think once this activates should work. So let's do this. Means an Alchemist is going to be kind of tough to make that happen now, since that's, you're not going to come back in time for it. So yeah, again, it's timing. With one more turn, it would have been much easier, because then Infiltrator would be back, then we have a target for Alchemist, and right now, Alchemist really doesn't have that. I mean, we could go with an Alzur's Thunder, which is not terrible, but obviously we wouldn't really want to put it there. And the fact that we use the Tainted Ale means we really do want to use this. It's just what comes next in that case. It doesn't really make sense to Alchemist. It might be Alzur's Thunder next. So let's do this.
We got a job to do.
Make that happen. You get bigger, which means you're going to get bigger. Now we can just hit you, because you don't have any armor, I think. So this is the last turn, right? Yeah, this is the last turn we're going to want to play. And I think both of these things will activate, right? This activates at the end of our turn. Or at the start of our next turn, and that should be fine. We'll still have enough time for that to happen, and you will come back to our side at the start of their turn, which will also happen. So basically, this is the last turn we need to play, and we do need to play something for it. Then we're fine. So they're going to lose 30 points from this getting destroyed. That'll drop them to 36. We're going to gain 32 points. So yeah, that should be more than enough. So really, this could be a throwaway. So it could be a bad Alchemist, and we don't need to worry about that too much. We could just make it a 0-point deployability on these guys, or 1-point deployability on you, I guess. I think we go that route.
If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
So this, assuming my math is correct, should be sufficient. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we played more cards of them. Yes. But as long as we dry pass in round 2, we should still be fine. We should still drop back up to 10 cards. Okay, and we did draw into, I think, our one other Skellige guy, so that's good. We saved Dogger, of course, so we use him to get back all of our other Skellige dudes. Then one of the downsides is that we did, by already using our Tainted Ale and one of our Infiltrators, we no longer have a great synergy for this. I mean, we could still throw an Infiltrator next to one of those guys who gets boosted every turn, assuming they are still going to have more than that, more than the original one that they played. And it's not that bad, but we don't have the awesome stuff, awesome setup we did before with the Tainted Ale, but I think... Oh, an Alchemist, yeah, so... I think we just keep this for now, and we'll figure out what we get in round 3 and based around that, because we are not going to play it all here. So as long as they don't play stuff with resilience, we're probably fine here. Oh, that's probably how they got the wolf before, as they consumed from their graveyard and spawned a base copy. Okay, so obviously that was all they needed to win round 2. That's fine. And we draw into, I think, Galvor was probably the best card that we had remaining still in our deck, so that's good that we got that here. And the Alchemist, again, is a little bit questionable. But I think Cadaverin, we really don't know if we're going to be able to make much use out of that. So I think that's fine. I mean, there are some cards, I think, on their side that are not going to get boosted. And if we were to target them, even with the self-damaging Skellige guys, you know, the one, as long as they can get enough damage to break through whatever armor our opponents might have, then we can throw down a Cadaverin and still make that work. Can our leader really play Cadaverin? I don't think it can. We also can't read it here in between rounds anyway, so never mind. Bomber, I have some questions about. Yeah, if you play it turn 1, I suppose it can still be decent value as long as we don't put in the same row as the Infiltrator, which I think we should be able to avoid. Yeah, you know, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Would have preferred to have gotten a little more Skellige stuff going on in round 1, and then Dogger would be even more set up, but we still have some stuff going on there. And the splitting up the Infiltrators, that's really, with the Tainted Ale, that's really the big thing. So you're not going to get boosted. So I think you're not going to be something that we want to put an Infiltrator next to. So why don't we go turn 1 for the Bomber, wherever you went. Let's do this.
You mad? Don't shake that.
We'll bomb this row. And then we'd like, that means, to put, yes, an Infiltrator next to you. Technically, the longer we wait, the better it would be, because the bigger you're going to get. And we do have leader ability. We don't, I mean, I guess we could put you back into our deck. And we could replay you and bomb the other row as well, although we don't really want to do that, because that would mean that we'd have fire on a row where we're going to, at some point in time, have an Infiltrator, so, you know, so be it. I think now is probably, either this is the, ooh, you played 2 of these Foglets, or maybe one of them came from your leader ability. That's, I think, tricky. If we don't shut them down quickly, I think that will become an issue. We could Alzur's Thunder, destroy this one, and destroy this wolf, which I think we established, again, that, I mean, they didn't play any wolves in round 1 beyond the one that got spawned from the Woodland Spirit, so may not be that much of a concern destroying this, but it's potentially some value from the adjacent units getting damaged by Alzur's Thunder. Otherwise, I was going to say you go Dogger on this turn, wherever you went, get the Skellige guys out, and, you know, obviously they don't have Zeal, so it's not going to be something we can immediately address, taking out these guys. Whenever this unit's power surpasses 8, does that mean not when it reaches, but goes above and beyond 8? I mean, you would think that would mean, that would be what surpasses means, right? I guess this one didn't spawn in a new one once it got to exactly 8. So basically, this is not quite going to spawn in another one just yet, whereas you are. So I guess all the more reason to do that. And we're still gonna wait on Dogger. Yeah, because that is one thing that we definitely saw can be very good, is if we can, okay, there were going to be more wolves. One thing that we saw can definitely be good is if we have leader abilities to spare, we can replay Dogger over and over again, and that allows us to go crazy with sacrificing these guys in particular, which can really add up if you have a bunch of Skellige guys on the board. So you are going to spawn in a new Blood Crazed Foglet on your next turn. I think we just need to accept that. So I don't really think there's a way out of that at the moment. We're not going to be quick enough. Again, don't have the Zeal. Unless Barnabas happens to give us something that can do that, but obviously we don't really know what Barnabas is going to give us, so I think this is the turn we break out Dogger.
On Handor!
Go for these guys. Let's try putting them all in the same row. Just because that way, you know, the damage for, yeah, there's too many points in this row for this to ever destroy anything. I guess we could have tried to isolate a single one in that row. That might have been the only way to make that happen. So yes, we do have a leader ability charge, but I think we wait one more turn, try to see if we can sacrifice some of these guys at the very least. Maybe get you on the board as well. Then use leader ability to replay Dogger and get you back out immediately. Okay, yep, the wolves are adding up, and you know what? We're fine with taking the damage. Okay, so now we would like to target you, if possible. And this is, I always forget if this is, it's 2 enemies by 3 damage. So 2 of these guys is enough to destroy. It's a little bit more than we need to destroy you. So we can do that. I think we will. And then we'll use these, well, before we do that, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we've determined, yes, the wolves do have some long-term value, so we should probably prioritize that, with you at least. Then, since your damage is based on the number of units, now that we've used you, this is where we go out and do this, unless we feel inclined to Xavier now, restore that ability, and destroy you, which we could do if we were really concerned about that. Yeah, there's something to be said for it. Shutting down one of their engines, or at least one of 2 of those as quickly as possible. Sure. Otherwise, I mean, we don't need to use both savior charges right now. We could just do this. Destroy you. Now go here to get rid of this guy. And yeah, we can damage you as well. Hold on, this might be possible to destroy the other one too. You do that, and granted, we should have done this first in that case, as we were just saying. The reason why we wanted to do Patricide first was because his damage is dependent on how many units they have. But, I mean, we could... You hit this. It's going to drop you to 5. You're going to hit back, drop you to 1, and then you can destroy like that. Or we could have Patricide destroy if we were to do this. It also works. Kind of do want these guys to get destroyed, though, so we can farm up more boosts on all the Skellige dudes. So I think maybe we'll just play, or we've already played this turn unit, so yeah, we could have removed you, but so we kind of messed it up. Might be about to get another wolf out. Oh, okay. Foglet. More wolves. Okay. We should put an infiltrator next to this guy fairly soon. I'm deliberately delaying a little bit so that we can get it even more boosted to get our infiltrator even more boosted, but there is a limit to how long we can wait. Okay, Gabor could also help us remove some of these guys, of course. So he's, what, 15 damage nowadays? Yeah. So that is enough to remove both of these. That's not a terrible idea. But again, if we're gonna use Xavier with Patricide, we should do that quickly. So, as in before we take out other units. So if Gabor can almost with perfect efficiency take out these guys, let's save Gabor for that maybe. And then we'll go Patricide then to try to whittle this guy down. Which I think we can now do. Okay. Now we do this.
Oh, could murder a
damage.
pint.
Okay, get rid of the engines. I mean, these are also engines, I suppose, but at least this one is an engine that we are okay with getting boosted. Now, speaking of which, I think we're okay with doing this. Boost everyone else. Okay with doing this. Boost everyone else. And then we can go leader ability, replay Dogger, and get those guys back out and boost everyone up once again. So we will play you, and don't really want to use... We are allowed to play Cadaverin. Ooh, that is interesting. Now, if we had been a little quicker, so we did delay this a little bit more than perhaps we had to, then we could have potentially snuck in one more leader ability before the end of the match. And then, you know, we could potentially set up a Cadaverin. So right now, yeah, sure, we can remove you, but that's the same, worth the same amount as just dealing 3 damage, so it's not really a big deal. I mean, that is technically the most valuable option that we have, because we don't want to set the fire on that row, because we are going to put an infiltrator there. Don't want to risk destroying it, so I think probably is still going to end up being Cadaverin. Okay, then these guys come back out.
Is today the day?
Then technically we are going to be weakening a unit that we were eventually going to use as a target for our self-boosting with Infiltrator, but so be it. It's 1 point of damage. Okay, that's very unfortunate. We did, of course, just make that stronger, and we anticipated that this might happen, but I think we have enough margin here that I'm not too worried about that being an issue. So now, if we have intentions of using the Alchemist with, or on an Infiltrator, then we need a little bit of time to make that happen. So this might be the right moment. It's technically a little bit early, but I think we can still make this work.
Shh, cock it.
It does also mean that Patricide is now slightly stronger. You're just a deploy ability. Technically, all right. You want to get into the technical details here. This does not say your Skellige units. This just says. Oh no, it says allies. Okay, fair enough. I was gonna say destroying this, is that gonna actually boost up our other Skellige guys? Because for a second there, it looked like the wording did not specify. But let's damage you. I think are the best one to go after at this stage. And let's. Oh, we already played a unit this turn. You guys, we might actually use you to destroy something later on, because at this point, I don't think we're gonna have enough time to get our leader ability back to replay Dogger. So we have to settle with what we have on the board at the moment. That it's just a one-time thing. Doesn't say deploy, but so, I mean, if it isn't, then eventually, some more Skellige guys might get destroyed. But, okay, let's see. So, I mean, you're not time sensitive, really. So I guess we play you. So we want to wait on this until you come back. Barnabas, generally, we like to wait as well. And Isabel, we also want to wait with until relatively late. She very well may become the Alchemist target, or the thing that we use the Infiltrator to boost up with an Alchemist. Should do this, though. There you are. So put Isabel there, at least we'd like to. Okay, they get a wolf back. At this point, not too worried about that. Let's use Isabel here. It's technically one turn earlier than we would need to use her, at least to enable her order ability, but again, if the intention is to set her up with the Alchemist, then this is the time to make that happen.
So much anger and
She is pretty weak,
suffering.
so I'm a little bit concerned about that. But, this is technically overkill damage, as is that. You are technically the engine here. I think we don't have any reason not to go after this Skellige guy, who is perhaps the... we could technically target you now, I guess, now that we're no longer trying to get you boosted up. Unless we really wanted to... get these guys killed. How many Skellige guys? We have enough Skellige guys on the board that is potentially still the best way to go about doing things, unless there's something we must destroy later. Leave that option open. Rather, well, I thought at this point there wouldn't be any more wolves. I was wrong. Okay, so Isabel at this point can destroy every single card they have on their side of the board, which is awfully tempting. Awfully tempting. But at the very least, we're going to do this.
There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Okay, now you probably have enough damage to... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, we could Patricide plus you, and that is 8 plus 3 is 11. Technically, you survive on 1. Again, they are eventually going to get destroyed if we choose to click Isabel on this turn or next turn. That's up to us. Maybe we get greedy and wait. That might come back to bite us, we'll see. So I kind of want to destroy every single card that they have. And as things stand, we can destroy every single card that they have. So let's go out and destroy every single card that they have. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's kind of what I mean by how our deck is a lot stronger now than it used to be. And for good measure, we'll throw Barnabas out here.
What? Oh, yes,
yes,
I'm on it.
Well, some of these guys are damaged by a bit, I think. Sure, why not? That actually would have been pretty relevant if we got that earlier on, because the strengthening is useful for the Skellige dudes, but there you have it. The deck is now much stronger than it used to be. I think we can say that with pretty good confidence at this point. It wasn't just 1 or 2 encounters, no, it's been at least 3 now, where we have been rolling through opponents, so I think that's definitely a good sign. Things are headed in the right direction, and speaking of headed in the right direction, we can now make it through over here to what seems to be possibly the biggest town we've had in the entirety of Ungren. I think it's bigger than that. Over here. And, I think it's still a little bit bigger than that. This was obviously a whole fortification. This is kind of different. I said town, not fortification. But point being that this is probably going to give us some kind of meaningful encounter, or encounters, plural. Still a lot of questions as to whether we can make it in over here, or if we are actually going to need to double back and use this bridge to access this puzzle. A lot of questions as to whether that actually does or does not need to happen in order to access it, but, you know, we'll figure it out. But alas, either way, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here. Another successful battle, so that's certainly good news, even if everything in Ungren is pretty grim. But thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.